Hey family, it's your girl Taisha. Come sit with me for a minute. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm glad you found me. So today I want to talk about something that honestly caught me off guard at first. It's like when you move on with your life, but your ex seems like he doesn't want to let you do that in peace. I recently got married, and this season in my life is fulfilling. I'm happy, and my relationship with my husband is going good. I started to notice little things like comments, different kind of like distant looks and things like that. And it didn't come directly to me. It actually came from my child, my adult child. And that's what kind of made it hurt differently. And at this stage where you haven't been with someone for over 20 something years, you would think that there's some maturity and respect, especially when it involves your children, and definitely, especially when your children are grown. When your past starts to influence how your children view you in the present, that can kind of feel heavy. Not because I need approval from anyone, but I value peace. I value my family. And I never wanted my happiness to feel like a problem for somebody else. And what I think made it really real for me that my ex had a problem with my marriage was a moment where something was said, and I I really didn't see it coming. It wasn't loud, it wasn't confrontational. It was kind of subtle in a way, but it was said right there to my face. It was something that was said to my son at first, and then when my ex saw me on the phone, he said the same thing to me. And when I heard it, I just was kind of blown back for a minute, for a second, even though I had already had the vibes that he was feeling. I don't know what he was feeling, but he wasn't happy because I had moved on, which we haven't been together for over 20 years, and it hasn't seemed like it's ever been a problem before because he's had several failed relationships, and I've moved on, and we were always pretty cordial with each other up until recently. So I was kind of thrown back, and then I was like, whoa, this isn't really about me getting married again. This is something a little bit more deeper, seems like. I have a really close relationship with this child, and he's also close to his father. So I assume, just like most adult children and parent, you talk a little more maturely with each other. And so my son would come to me, and, he I guess he was venting. I don't think he was seeing it as, he might have been upsetting me by the things that his father was saying to him, but his father was bringing up stuff that happened between me and him in our relationship that I don't feel he should have been discussing with our son. Like the way my new chapter of life was seeming like he was trying to portray me in a negative way, it just kind of hit a little different. As my children were growing up, I always tried to make them feel like they could love both their parents with no guilt, no pressure to love one more than they love the other. Never wanted them to feel like they had to, like pick sides. So, yeah, to feel like my son was being influenced negatively by his dad made me really feel like I had to create a different type of boundary. It's not coming from a bitter place because I've never been bitter. Well, I'm not going to say I've never been bitter, but I've gone past that. I'm beyond being angry about what happened between me and his dad in our relationship. I could care less about any of that anymore. I've learned that people will tell their version of the story, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's just the reality of it, especially when it's a divorce or separation, and maybe on one end or the other, emotions are still attached some type of way. But then I had to think about it, and I had to sit with it for a minute, and I had to say, come to the realization, I can't control what someone says about me, but what I can control is how I respond and how I react to it. And I thought about it too. Sometimes, when people see you happy and they see that things are different for you and someone else, whereas it wasn't that way with them, they don't want to accept that. So I'm thinking maybe that's some of why he has been commenting negatively, is because it's a reflection of how he feels he was lacking. But for me now in this stage, I'm in a new season, in a new marriage, and I just want to protect. I want to protect that. I want to protect my new marriage. I want it to be healthy. I want it to be peaceful as possible. And I definitely do not want anyone speaking negatively um, on my marriage or my husband. And I'm not going to let anyone come in and cause friction between me and my husband or me and my children. You know, we live a good life over here, and the past is the past, but I still want to be able to, talk and say hi and be cordial. That's really all we have to do. Our children are adults now, and your relationship with them and my relationship with them should be remain totally separate as far as I am concerned. So my focus is to continue to be a positive parent to my children, help them in their adult life, remain respectful to their father, and still honor my marriage in peace. I know that those things, they can exist, but only when everyone respects their boundaries in the relationships. So if I can leave you with anything today, it would be this. You don't have to stop living your life because someone is uncomfortable with your growth. And you don't have to dim your happiness to make your past feel more comfortable. And I've come to realize that moving forward in life doesn't mean everyone else is going to move forward with you at the same pace, or even if they're ever going to move on. And sometimes people will hold on to their own version of you, even though it may not be true. But I've also learned that I can't try to live my life managing other people's perceptions of me. I really just want to show up with honesty and love, especially for my children and for myself. And at the end of the day, I want peace in my home, peace in my marriage, peace in the relationships with my children. And I'm willing to do the work on my side of that equation to protect that. So I'm choosing boundaries without bitterness, growth without being guilty or feeling guilty. And I want to live a life that's not dictated by someone else's comfort level of my happiness. So if you're going through something similar, just know you're not alone, and you're allowed to move on without having to have permission by anyone else. Thank you for sitting with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you back here real soon.